Championship Auto Race Teams is about to make their debut on the Eastern Seaboard. Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Page, and we're in the honeymoon capital of the world, the Pocono Mountains at Pocono International Raceway. It's an unusual 2.5-mile tri-oval, and we're here for the Pocono 500. Now, traditionally, in a 500-mile race, we see rows of 3 coming down to the start for the green flag. But in the interest of safety, because this is a teeth-jarring race course, they have decided to start in rows of 2. Now, that's good for safety, but not so good for our friend Johnny Rutherford, who had qualified as the fastest march in the race to the outside of the front row. He now will start on the inside of the second row. And here, just before the start, Johnny is with us in the pits. And, John, you can't be happy about it.
Well, I'm really not, Paul, but that's, you know, as you said, it's in the interest of safety. And, of course, the line that the cars starting on the inside row would have to have taken is quite rough, and it could create some problems, although I don't think it's going to make any difference when they drop that green flag. We're going to see cars all over the front straightaway heading for the first turn anyway, so it's a little bewildering to me, but that's the way they wanted it, so that's the way we're going to start.
Well, John, it's still a race of 500 miles, and you're real good at being there at the finish. Best of luck to you today, Johnny Rutherford.
Thank you.
The record at Pocono International Raceway was set back in 1973 by the late Peter Revson, then in a McLaren, at just over 191 miles an hour. And that record stayed the record up until this time, because almost immediately they tried to slow the cars down, and then the political infighting between CART and USAC began. And there truly hasn't been a viable championship car 500-mile race here in the past several years. So they expected that when the CART teams arrived here, they were going to see the record broken. It wasn't just broken. It was shattered by Rick Mears at more than 200 miles an hour. And right now, the pole sitter, Rick Mears, is with Bruce Jenner.
Thank you, Paul. And Rick, I heard when you went out and 1 got the pole position and 2 broke the track record that you did something I would think as a driver would be a little unorthodox. You sort of jammed your foot in the side of the car, not even to tempt you from hitting that brake on that fast lap.
Yeah, we did try to stay away from it. If you hold your foot over it, sometimes you can't control it quite enough you tend to want to push down on it a little bit just for safety's sake. But I tried to stay away from the brake as far as I could, because I knew I could get through without it, and I knew we could gain some time there, and that's what we tried to do.
You've had the pole position just about every race this year, but you haven't won almost every one of them. So how much advantage is it to be out in front?
Well, it's really, especially at a 500-mile race like here at Pocono, it's not really any advantage to be on the front. You can start anywhere in the pack, really, other than it's a little safer going into the first turn at the start of the race. But we're just going to try to set a good, easy pace on the car today and get to the end. And if we can get toward the end, then we're going to do the racing at the end of the race.
Well, at least it's a beautiful day for it.
Yes, it is. It's perfect.
All right. Well, I'm going to move up to the booth with Paul Page, so I've got to move right now. But let's right now go to Gary Jarrell, and he's with Gordon Johncock.
Well, here's the man that a lot of attention is being focused on as he goes for a triple crown. He won at Indianapolis. He won at Michigan. He goes for the 500 miles at Pocono. Gordon Johncock, what would it mean to accomplish the triple this day?
Well, it would mean a great deal, Gary, you know, especially to the crew. They've worked so hard. We've had a lot of problems this week trying to get set up. My second lap of qualifying, I spun and hit the wall, and the guys had to work practically all night to get the car going, and they've really earned it. You know, they've done a great job. The STP crew has just worked night and day to keep my car on the racetrack and going, and it would mean a great deal to the crew and me to win it. I got a lot of confidence in the crew, and I think we'll find it before the end of the race comes.
Well, at any rate, it's been a terrific season thus far. I guess this would be really frosting on the cake, Gordy.
Well, it certainly would. I think I'd rather win this race than the other 5 or 6 put together that we have.
We wish you well this day. That's Gordon Johncock getting set to start 500 miles at Pocono. Let's go back upstairs now to Paul Page.
Pocono International is a most unusual racetrack, a long, bumpy 3,700-foot straightaway leading to a 16-degree back turn, then another 3,055-foot straightaway to an 8-degree banking, and then a short straight, 1,780 feet. 3 turns. They call it a tri-oval. It is a challenging race course, compromise between running the high banks of an oval and the flat turns of a road course. So the engines are now fired in the pit area, and we're ready for the running of the Domino's Pizza Pocono 500. The field begins to pull away, the front row, both Penske cars. There's A.J. Foyt, the only four-time winner of the Pocono 500, trying for an unprecedented 5th victory in a 500-mile race. The field pulling away, but Rick Mears, the pole sitter, has pulled off to the side. He's having trouble getting started. The crew running down to assist Mears. Now they give him a push, and Rick Mears, the pole sitter, pulls away. The rest of the field coming cleanly now off of the pit area and on to the straightaway. As we anticipate a start, let's look at the grid for the 1982 Pocono 500. On the pole, with the track record 200.9 miles an hour, Rick Mears in the Gould charge.
Kevin Cogan, a rookie on this track. We think he's ripe for his first championship win.
The inside of the second row, the 1980 national champion, Johnny Rutherford, his third race in his new Pennzoil mark.
Mario Andretti, former world driving champion who has never won on this, his home track.
The inside of the third row, the likable Gordie Johncock, trying for this, the third jewel in the Triple Crown of auto racing.
Mike Mosley started here at Pocono 8 times, his best finish ever, second.
Bobby Rahal on the inside of the fourth row, a rookie here, but delighted the crowd at Cleveland with his first ever IndyCar win.
Al Unser has finished 5th and 4th in the 2 previous 500-mile races this year.
On the inside of the fifth row, Tom Sneva, the 1977 winner of the Pocono 500, looking for his 9th IndyCar victory.
Johnny Parsons from Indianapolis, Indiana, with his best qualifying start of the year.
Inside of the sixth row, Pancho Carter, his only IndyCar win, the 1981 Michigan 500.
Jeff Brabham, his best finish ever in an IndyCar, was second place on this track last year.
And as we take a look at the rest of the qualifying field, the 30 cars ready to start this 1982 Pocono 500, the speed differential from the top position, Rick Mears, to the last position, a 42-mile-an-hour spread. The crowd waves to the starting field as they come down the very long 3,740-foot main straightaway. Rick Mears and Kevin Cogan, the front row. The Penske team dominating in the qualifying. As the crowd salutes these race drivers, we'll be back for the start of the Pocono 500 right after this. Final pace lap now in anticipation for a green flag and the start of the Pocono 500. There's the front row. Rick Mears and Kevin Cogan. Johnny Rutherford and Mario Andretti right behind as they come through the third and final turn and head down the maiden straightaway. Nick Fernoro has the green flag in hand. The green flag is out and we're racing in the Pocono 500 as Mears accelerates. Mario Andretti darts to the outside. That's Kevin Cogan in the middle and Johnny Rutherford with a charge down on the inside as Andretti slides into second place going into the first turn.
Oh, they didn't want to start with 3 in the front row, but as soon as that green flag went down, it was 4 abreast into turn 1.
Andretti begins to close now on the back end of Mears' car as they head down these long straightaways at Pocono. Andretti comes up right behind Mears. They come for the second turn. A slight banking on this turn, and Mears accelerates away. Now his car is carrying a brand new experimental turbocharger. He's the only car in the field with that turbo, and some of the other competitors are angry about it. Mario Andretti is second. In third place is Johnny Rutherford. Kevin Cogan and Gordon Johncock are battling it out for fourth. As they complete lap number 1 in the Pocono 500, there's Rutherford darting out alongside Andretti. They come down that long main straightaway, and Rutherford slides into second place as they head into the first turn.
And Rick Mears with a comfortable lead, but the battle right now is for 4th place. Tom Sneva has 4th, but now Gordon Johncock coming on the inside of Kevin Cogan, and here comes Al Unser. Down on the inside, it's Al Unser into 5th. Cogan right around the outside of him.
And while this battle continues, there's been a seesaw battle for second place between Johnny Rutherford and Mario Andretti. Andretti has now pushed ahead of Rutherford. Rick Mears is well out in front, but there's battles all through the top 10. A.J. Foyt heads down into the pits. Gary?
Most unusual to see Foyt coming in under green flag conditions early in the race. We can see a crew member down at the nose of the car, Paul, apparently making a front wing adjustment. It has to be a handling problem. No fuel, no tires added. Foyt now back under power and back in the competition, but he's going to have to hurry in order to avoid losing a lap.
As Supertex hustles his way out of the pits, here comes Mario Andretti, charging on the back end of Rick Mears' car, and Johnny Rutherford is there as well.
Rick Mears at the start of the race proved to everybody that he does have the horsepower, but now Mario
drops back as Andretti and Rutherford move into 1 and 2.
I think Rick Mears is thinking right now, the 500-mile race, let's back off a little bit. He showed everybody he does have the horsepower. He's not going to let those leaders get out of sight.
And Gordon Johncock currently running in 9th. That's Mike Mosley up in 8th. They're hanging back as well as they incur some of the slower traffic to the back of the field. And Bobby Rahal, the winner at the Cleveland 500-kilometer race, has moved up into 7th place. But here's your leader, Mario Andretti, the SVP car number 40. In 2nd is Johnny Rutherford. As they come onto the main stretch once again, the blue and yellow flag telling the slower cars to move over. The leaders are coming through. It's a furious battle for first place. Johnny Rutherford comes to the inside to try Andretti. And Rutherford pushes past, going into the first turn. Slams the door on Andretti, and Rutherford picks up the lead.
Now, Rutherford's only had that car for 6 weeks, and now it's the fastest march in the field. You know he's got it handling really well when he can shut the door on Mario Andretti.
Johnny Rutherford, our current leader in car number 5, has a very efficient record here at the Pocono 500. He currently holds the race record. When he won in 1974, he averaged 156.7 miles an hour. The yellow flag is out. The report comes from the first turn. There is debris there, a piece of skirt material from off of one of the race cars. So the field will slow. Johnny Rutherford is in the lead, and this should be a most opportune time for pit stop. Rutherford stays out under the yellow, but most of the rest of the leader serial comes in. Gary?
Should be the first of a half dozen projected stops for Mario Andretti. His team in action should be routine.
And Rick Mears, all he's taking on is fuel. No other adjustments to the car, so you know that car is flawless right now.
Johnny Rutherford continues in the lead under the yellow flag, stays out on the race course, does not come into the pits. And just a reminder, it's horsepower and horses. This afternoon at the Pocono 500, we wait for the green flag to fly. Johnny Rutherford is in front. Tom Sneva's in second, pulls up right behind Rutherford. The green flag is out, and we're racing once again. Johnny Rutherford in the lead, but Tom Sneva in car number 7 pulls to the inside. It's a drag race down this long 3,700-foot main straightaway as Sneva picks up the lead. Rutherford drops back to second.
Tom Sneva just anticipated that green a little bit better than Rutherford, was able to get the jump on him, used his horsepower, and just drove right by him on that long straightaway.
So 2 marches out in front, Sneva and Rutherford. And Gordon Johncock has now begun to thread his way through traffic. He's in 11th position. There's Gordy moving past Bill Alsop. Right in front of him is Dick Simon on the outside and Tony Bettenhausen in the Provimi march. As Johncock had problems earlier, here's Gary's report.
Well, we found out that during that last battle, during the stop, Johncock came in. They were working on the car, and it was ascertained that he had no brakes. He's been running through this entire competition with no brakes. The crew wanted to bring him in. Gordy said, no, let's stick it out. They have now corrected the problem.
The fight continues for the lead. Tom Sneva in front, but here comes Rutherford. That's Rick Mears right behind him. Rutherford once again low in the first turn and picks up first place.
Johnny Rutherford's been doing all his passing in turn 1. The reason is that because he's driving turn 3 so well. His car is handling perfectly, giving him that great speed down that long straightaway. And now on the far right of your screen, you see Rick Mears moving underneath Tom Sneva, going into turn 2, and Rick Mears is now in second place.
Rick Mears, the pole sitter, the fastest car on the race course, led in the early going, is now charging back toward the lead. He's in second place. On the left of your screen, that's Johnny Rutherford, the bright yellow march, coming off of the last turn, heading down the long main straightaway. There's Mears, there's Sneva, as the fight continues in the front of the field. But Rick Mears is once again on the charge. And he did start this race with that experimental turbocharger. The Penske team has no idea how well it will perform. They really only got it on Friday afternoon just before the qualifying. But it's working very well in terms of speed. The question will be, will it work in terms of fuel economy? Johnny Rutherford, the leader on the other hand, in a proven car. There's the interval, first to second place, as Mears continues his pursuit of Rutherford. And Howdy Holmes has a problem. There's a hot one, the car 30, the Domino's Pizza car. Howdy Holmes lets an engine go.
And Johnny Rutherford taking advantage of that yellow, coming in for his first pit stop. And let's go down to Gary Gerald.
A rejuvenated Pennzoil Chaparral pit crew awaiting Johnny Rutherford's first stop of the afternoon. This only the 3rd race for this March car. The crew feeling that they finally dialed it in, that Rutherford is once again competitive, a threat to win. He has certainly been impressive thus far this afternoon.
And Howdy Holmes climbs out of his machine, that blowing engine, the reason for the yellow. We'll be back. The heat of a warm afternoon in the Pocono Mountains ripples off the long main straightaway as we're back to green flag racing. Rick Mears is out in front. Andretti is second. And Johnny Rutherford and Gordon Johncock have begun a battle for third place as Rutherford tries Johncock on the inside.
Rutherford making his move on the inside, but no, Gordon Johncock can hold him off. Maybe he's got that car working properly now, and especially those brakes.
Here's the leader, Rick Mears, car number 1. Out in front in second place is Mario Andretti. But Mears having a smooth run here in the Pocono 500.
Rick Mears has been flawless all day. He's been able to drive around this track pretty much at will, anytime. Now here's turn 3. I made the point earlier that Rutherford has been driving that turn so well. Look at right here as he's closing in and keeping that low line, even accelerating through that turn, and he's able to get past Gordon Johncock.
So here is Rutherford on the main straightaway, moving past Johncock, picking up third place. Johncock's right in there and in pursuit of Johnny Rutherford. In second place currently is Mario Andretti. He is running all alone on the race course, some distance back from the first place car, Rick Mears. Earlier, Howdy Holmes blew a motor. He's now with Gary Gerald.
Well, Howdy, you come in, your company, your sponsor, Domino Pizza, sponsoring the event. You're out of the competition early. It's not one of those days you'd like to remember, I guess.
No, it isn't. Especially it's Domino Pizza Pocono 500, and there was a little extra added incentive to do well. And our motor decided that it didn't want to play well today. Blew itself to smithereens and about the 30th lap.
Well, we hope there'll be brighter days in the future.
It certainly will be.
All right, thanks, Howdy.
Thanks very much.
A tough day for Howdy Holmes. Those motors cost about $47,000. Here is the second place car, number 40. Mario Andretti, as he now begins to chase the leader, Rick Mears. But at the same time, Johnny Rutherford has been closing on Andretti and now comes up on the main stretch to do battle with Mario.
Turn 1 is coming up, and this is where Johnny Rutherford has been doing all his passing. Again, he's dropping into the low line. Let's see if he gets around Andretti. Easily just drives right around him. Johnny Rutherford with tremendous speed down that home stretch.
Rutherford's owner, Jim Hall, and Howdy Holmes' owner, Doug Shearson, have been doing research on the march, and it appears to be paid off for Rutherford. Dick Simon slows in the second turn. No indication of what might be wrong. He pulls down off of the line, and they display the yellow flag. That will slow the field and should bring the leaders into the pits. Rick Mears down on the pit lane. Johnny Rutherford, Mario Andretti, all heading down pit road for some fast service by their crews. Let's go down to the pits. Here's the report from Gary Gerald.
All the leaders taking advantage of the yellow to come in for service. Here's Rick Mears, the Penske crew, once again in action. Peter Parrott working on the right front of the car, making the change. This appears it'll be a 3-tire change. They're changing both rear wheels as well. Mears setting calmly down off the jacks. It's a beautifully timed quick stop, and Rick Mears goes screaming back onto pit road.
And Johnny Rutherford's crew changes 3 tires as well, as Gordon Johncock's crew does a very fast stop and has him back into the fight. There's Mario Andretti, another 3-tire change, so they're wearing tires very quickly here at the Pocono 500. Gordon Johncock leads Johnny Rutherford and Rick Mears out. Here comes Andretti, but you will notice that A.J. Foyt is making a very long stop in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Because of good pit service, Gordon Johncock is out in front as he continues his pursuit for the Triple Crown of auto racing. We'll be back. Johncock leads as we're back to green flag racing at the Pocono 500. That's Johnny Rutherford in second place. Rick Mears is currently sitting down in third place. But the leaders are running right together in the Pocono 500 as they come onto that long main straightaway. Johnny Rutherford tucks in right behind Johncock. Rutherford has been driving very well in the first turn. He makes his bid once again. He comes off of that third turn so fast he can build up speed and moves into first place, going by Johncock on the inside. Mears continues to sit back in third place.
Johnny Rutherford, experienced driver, knows what he's doing, knows how his car's handling. He knows he can get around not anybody in turn 1, and he keeps setting everybody up. But Gordon Johncock doesn't like to be passed. He's going to stay right in there as they go through turn 2.
There's the fourth place car of Mario Andretti. He's currently doing battle with car 34. That's Johnny Parsons Jr. He's 2 laps back in 13th place. Andretti is keeping the leaders in sight, and the leader is Johnny Rutherford out in front of Johncock and Mears.
This is a very fast racetrack, 2.5 miles, tri-oval, and look at the speed, over 200 miles an hour as they go down that home stretch.
And now Rick Mears tries side of the course going into one. Mears gets past John Cock. Rutherford stays out in front.
And Tom Sneva, who is currently in 8th place in the competition, once led, is now in the pits. He has some sort of problem with the car. They're looking in the back, and Sneva is getting out of the car. That's it for him for today.
So the 1977 winner of this race climbs out of his car, and at the same time, A.J. Foyt drives his car back to the garage area. 2 former winners already out. But here's a man that's never won this race. Rick Mears darts around Johnny Rutherford and picks up first place. That PC-10 beginning to again show some of the awesome power it had at the beginning of the season. But A.J. Foyt is out. Let's go to Gary Jarrett.
Back in the garage area, a disgruntled A.J. Foyt, his crew and the car now going back into the garage behind closed doors. A.J. unhappy. We don't know specifically what the problem is. He did not want to talk to us to let us know what type of problems he was encountering on the track. But the man who's won here 4 times in the past will not win in 1982.
A.J. Foyt making his bid to be the first man ever to win 5 500-mile races. There's Kevin Cogan in car number 4. He moves past Gordon John Cock into 3rd place.
But his teammate Rick Mears is out in the lead right now as he comes around turn 3. Looks like he's keeping an awfully low line. Yes, he is. Rick Mears under the green is going into the pits.
On the dashboard of Mears' car is a bright light that when it comes on says there's about 2.5 miles to go before he's out of fuel. So apparently they calculated the need for a stop. The rest of the cars continue at speed as Johnny Rutherford at 207 miles an hour down the main straightaway here at Pocono. Mears stopped in the pits, a quick stop, but still it is under the green and it will count against him.
And on this long shot, as the car comes close to you, you can see those tunnels underneath the car, which create that suction with the ground and thousands of pounds of downforce. You can also see how bumpy this track is. Now, difficult wear and tear on that car, but also on the driver. And just as Mears comes out of the pits, the yellow comes out.
Bad break for Rick Mears, a good break for our leader, Johnny Rutherford. The yellow flag is flying once again. The report of oil on the ground in the 3rd turn. They say it may have come from Chip Ganassi's car as Rutherford takes advantage of it and heads down pit road for a stop.
And Johnny Rutherford's enthusiastic crew getting ready to service that car.
Mario Andretti comes in, as does Bill Alsop and Tony Bettenhausen.
And Gordon Johncock is in the pits to get rubber and fuel.
And Kevin Cogan is in as Bob Sproul and the crew go to work. But Mario Andretti's been in a long time. Gary, what's the problem?
Well, we're not sure that we know what the problem is, but we've seen Ron Baddeley, also the gear man, John Anderson, working around the back end of the car. We can only theorize at this point that perhaps Andretti has something wrong with the gearbox. At any rate, the car's still up on the jacks, and right now it's a question of whether or not Mario's going to be able to get back out with the leaders on this yellow.
We'll continue to watch Mario. We're under the yellow flag, and we'll be back. Flag is out again at the Pocono 500. Here comes Rick Mears bringing the field down across the line. Mears is in front. In 2nd place is Johnny Rutherford. Then the slower car of Johnny Parsons Jr. 2 laps down. And here comes Gordon Johncock, currently in 3rd place. But his teammate Andretti has his problems. Let's check in with Gary.
Mario, we understand there was a bearing and a gearbox problem. Does that type of a problem give you any warning at all when it goes?
Well, it went, I had 1st or 2nd gear for some reason or other just disappear all of a sudden, and I had to leave the pits in 3rd gear. The drivetrain felt very rough. I didn't know what to expect, and I was just driving very easy because I knew there was going to be some problem cropping up, and I thought maybe I could take it to the end, but...
We're disappointed to see you out, Mario. Thank you.
Mario's teammate Gordon Johncock is having better luck. He just moved around Johnny Rutherford. Rutherford appears to have handling problems, and his crew is anticipating a stop by Rutherford at any time. But Rutherford stays out on the main straightaway. The back end hops a bit as he comes across the start-finish line. Rutherford in 3rd place, chasing Gordon Johncock down into the 1st turn. Johncock in 2nd place, and Rutherford loses it. Rutherford up against the wall. An awesome crash here in the 1st turn. Rutherford continues to slide. The car disintegrates under an impact with that boilerplate wall. Kevin Cogan goes past. Johnny Parsons past. Rutherford is in the cockpit. He's strapped in, but he's moving. There's no fire on the car.
A tremendous impact with the wall with Johnny Rutherford. Completely broke the car in half. Johnny Rutherford, his head is moving. You can see he's moving a little bit. Now he's grabbing his hands. We don't know what his condition is, but boy, did he take an impact with that wall.
A stream of fuel pours out from the car. They're checking to make sure there's no fire. Rutherford would be protected from it because of his driver's suit. The safety crews are there. Dr. David Crippen in the blue uniform. One of the cart physicians is right there with Rutherford. Apparently, there is no fire on this car, and they're moving in to help Johnny.
And his head just fell over. I think he's conscious, but he's just fighting it to stay awake. It's ironic that he lost it in turn 1. He's been driving so well in that turn, but all of a sudden, it looks like something let loose with the car.
The field has slowed to a crawl now. Rick Mears and Gordon Johncock just motored past, probably less than 5 miles an hour, as the race physicians continue to work with Johnny Rutherford. Here is the accident once again.
Coming into turn 1. Right about there, it looks like he lost the right rear tire because you can see parts of the car coming off as the tire is ripping it apart. He hits the wall so hard, completely broke the car in half. You can see the back end of the car all the way up in the air as he slides along that wall.
And we have to give credit to our cameraman in the first turn, Alonzo Roberts, who despite debris showering around him, stays with this shot as Johnny Rutherford slides to a stop, the car literally broken in half. And it's amazing, but Johnny Rutherford, under pretty much his own power, is getting out of the car after a tremendous impact. The race physician, Dr. Steve Alvey, still there with him. Both doctors right on the scene. Rutherford limping away. This is phenomenal. Of course, we've seen it before from Johnny Rutherford. He has survived some awesome accidents in his day, and he has done it once again here in the Pocono 500 as Johnny, under his own power, climbs into the back of the ambulance. You know, it's an awesome sight when that tire went because that car just became a guided missile. Johnny Rutherford had no control over it. That's half-inch boilerplate steel. It just buckled from the impact of about 180 miles an hour. Johnny Rutherford will now make the trip to the hospital, but we're happy to report apparently the injuries are not serious. Well over the halfway point in the race, this is the first accident in this Pocono 500. We'll be back. Johncock leads Kevin Cogan and Rick Mears down across the line. That's the slower car of Jeff Brabham, number 21, out in front of the lead serial. He's currently running in 4th place, and he will begin to fight with Johncock because he does not want to go 1 lap down from the leader. He wants to stay on the leader's lap. Johncock up very close to the wall. Remember, Jeff Brabham's in 4th place. He's right in the race. He does not have to move to get out of Gordon Johncock's way. But as Johncock gets by, let's go down to Gary Gerald for a further report on Johnny Rutherford.
Dr. Olvey, can you give us a condition report on Johnny at this point?
He's really in good shape for how bad the accident was. He's probably got 2 fingers on his right hand that are broken, but otherwise he's in good spirits, was never unconscious, and right now there are no other apparent injuries. We're going to send him in by helicopter purely for convenience and because it's a lot quicker, but he'll walk to the helicopter.
Thank you very much.
There's some good news on Johnny Rutherford. Now Rick Mears has closed up behind Gordon Johncock, and it's a fight once again for the lead as Mears goes under Johncock and picks up the lead of the first turn. Gordon Johncock seems to be pressing for that Triple Crown. Earlier, he was right up against the wall. In that turn, he almost clipped Rick Mears' right rear tire. He's pushing. So Mears is back out in front once again, the pole sitter, the leader in the early going. Here comes Kevin Cogan as he's charging on the back end of Bobby Rahall's car. Now Cogan is currently in 3rd place. Rahall is 2 laps down, currently riding in 5th position. And they're ready now to transfer Johnny Rutherford. Let's go down to Gary.
Well, Johnny Rutherford, escorted by other safety officials, now going over to the helicopter where he'll be flown to a nearby hospital for emergency treatment. You can see that right wrist and hand already heavily bandaged and taped. We got eye contact with him as he came out, wondering if we might get a word. John said, no, it hurts awful bad. And, of course, you saw immediately right on over to the helicopter. So we certainly wish him well. Appears not to be a serious injury. We did have a quick look at his helmet. There's a scrape mark on top of the helmet. So obviously he took a tremendous pounding and quite a jolt when that car went into the wall. But he will now go in for further emergency treatment. We had the report from Dr. Olvey. A couple of broken bones there in the right hand. It appears to be nothing more than that at this time.
We'll be back to the Pocono 500 as Rick Mears leads Gordon Johncock on the main straightaway. But now let's take a look at the greatest thief in baseball. He's Lou Brock, and he's the subject of our Years Ago Today. Car number 1 is our leader. In second place is Gordon Johncock. Kevin Cogan is currently running in third place, right behind Johncock. The rest of the field running off of the leader's lap.
Rick Mears has been dominant all year long, by far having the fastest car at every track. But he has not won a race since back in late April at Atlanta. He's run into just bad luck ever since. Maybe that luck will change for him today at Pocono.
Rick Mears continues to lead. Let's check in with you.
Well, it was just a couple of months ago at Indianapolis when this scene was virtually reversed. It was Gordon Johncock on top. It was Rick Mears who was doing the chasing. It came down to the checkered flag and only 16/100ths of a second separating first and second place. It was Johncock the winner. Today, the situation reversed. It's now Mears on top. Gordon Johncock doing the chasing. Will history repeat itself? We're going to know here in just the next few moments.
Well, as Gary suggests, we have the makings of a classic battle here. There are your first 3 cars running on the main straightaway together. It's Mears, Johncock, and then Rick Mears' teammate Kevin Cogan in car number 4. Now, Cogan's car is not carrying the new turbocharger that Mears has, and the cars are slightly different in their tunnel configurations. That means that the ground effects is slightly different. There's our leader, Rick Mears, the Penske PC-10. Penske cars have won 3 times here at the Pocono 500 with Bobby Unser, Tom Stava, and in 1971 with Mark Donahue.
And Gordon Johncock has his work cut out for him. Rick Mears has been dominant all day long. He's not only going to have a tough time trying to catch him, but once he catches him, he has to get around him. His work is cut out for him. One thing that we haven't mentioned is the roughness of the track. Watch Rick Mears as he comes down that straightaway. The car will start to bobble and weave. And also, as he comes into turn 1, there's a big bump right in there. A series of bumps, and the car will start to move on him. It makes it very difficult for handling, and also, it's an awful lot of wear and tear on that car.
And Johncock's got a problem as Cogan screams past. Johncock slows. The battle ends for Gordon Johncock. The Triple Crown has gone away with just a few laps to the finish. Gordon Johncock slows on the racetrack. Just under 15 miles to the end of 500, and Gordon Johncock is out of the race. Let's check with Gary Gerald. Gary, any indication what happened to the pit?
No, just tremendous disappointment here. No indication as to what exactly the problem is, Paul. We'll try to find out as quick as we can from George Huning and let you know.
Now, normally they will not throw the yellow with less than 10 laps to go. We're at lap 194 right now. Johncock is trying to get his car off of the racetrack. He gets it up close to the wall, but they're talking about going yellow. Gary.
Paul, quick indication that it may be something in the rear end, and the irony would be that it was a gearbox problem that sidelined teammate Mario Andretti. Apparently, the same fate has befallen Gordon Johncock in the final laps.
So as the yellow comes out, it will set up a sprint race to the finish between the 2 Penske cars. And after the race, we'll be going to the Arlington Million, the richest thoroughbred race in the world. We're back at the Domino's Pizza 500 at Pocono. In front, Rick Mears. His teammate, Kevin Cogan, is just behind him. Then Jeff Brabham and Bobby Rahal. Now, will Roger Penske let his team cars race to the finish? Gary?
Roger, in this last situation, is it every man for himself now?
Well, Gary, you know, you've seen Formula One. It's difficult. I told Rick he's got 2 laps to go and watch his flank, and we'll just see what happens.
All right, we're going green.
So Roger Penske says that they can do the same thing that Pat Patrick allowed his team to do at the Michigan 500. Mears and Cogan will race to the checkered flag.
And Bobby Rahal in the back of the pack is making his move for 3rd around Jeff Brabham. He gets it.
So Bobby Rahal slides into 3rd place. Mears leads. Cogan is chasing him. The cars are slightly different. Mears pulls out a bit of a lead going onto the long stretch. There's car 19, Bobby Rahal. He's currently 3rd in the point standings. And if he can finish 3rd here, that will give him a good advantage going into his specialty for the rest of the season as CART begins to run their road races. There's the interval. 1st to 2nd place. Rick Mears is out in front. His best finish here at the Pocono 500 was 7th in 1980. He's being chased by his teammate, Kevin Cogan. Cogan's best finish in IndyCars was at the Milwaukee 150 last year, where he finished in 2nd place. Now the white flag flies. Rick Mears has 2.5 miles to go to his first victory at the Pocono 500.
There's absolutely no way that Kevin Cogan can catch him now. Rick Mears has had the horsepower all day. He's had the handling. Unless he broke down in the last 1.5 miles, he's got this race all sewed up.
And there's Bobby Ray Rahal. He is solidly in third place. Here's the leader, the Gould Charge, car number 1, Rick Mears, as he continues under power through the second turn. Now one short straightaway, then a turn, and then the checkered flag for Rick Mears. The car runs smoothly. He brings it into that sweeping radius turn, and now he can see the checkered flag. He's on the main stretch. Rick Mears comes across the line to the cheers of his crew and of the crowd as Rick Mears wins the Pocono 500. Kevin Cogan comes across in second place. The two Penske cars, 1 and 2 at Pocono. Here comes Bobby Rahal across the line in third. A tremendous drive by Rahal.
And a tremendous drive by Rick Mears and Kevin Cogan as they both give each other the thumbs up. Congratulations on a great team effort.
A terrific job by Rick Mears. Here's Jeff Brabham, the fourth place finisher with a very sick engine. So sick, in fact, that he makes a U-turn at the end of the pit wall. He doesn't even want to try it for one more lap. There's Rick Mears. One extra lap, and now he comes down pit road and heads for winner's circle here at Pocono International. And Kevin Cogan comes in right behind him. Rick Mears waves to his fans.
A happy man right now. He's run into a lot of bad luck halfway through this season. It's finally changed for him. He's back in the winner's circle.
And he pulls into winner's circle. Peter Parrott is there, his chief mechanic, and congratulates him. The whole crew now surrounds the Gould Charge. Rick Mears has won once again. The man who started the season so strong. A kiss for his wife, Dina. And Rick Mears now ready for the formal ceremonies that declares him the winner. Here's Gary.
Well, coming up out of the cramped quarters, it's been a long 3.5 hours or so. The congratulatory kiss from wife Dina. Rick Mears, a jubilant winner. I tell you, it had been about 3.5 months since we met you here in Victory Lane. You're probably wondering when this was going to happen again.
Yes, I have been wondering, but hey, the guys just did a tremendous job on the car. This thing ran flawless all day long. The Gould Charge just operated perfectly. The guys, there wasn't a thing wrong with it. They got me in and out of the pits great. Everything just went super. It couldn't have gone any better for us.
It's kind of nice to break the streak. You'd been on the pole, you've been breaking records, but in the last few races you hadn't been able to get the win. Does it become kind of a psychological thing at all, Rick?
No, not really. You can't let it get to you. You just got to go on and do your job and do it the best you can do from, whatever, no matter what happens. And that's exactly what my guys did. They didn't let anything get to them, no matter whether we stood on a pole or we lost or what. They just worked hard, very hard. And Penske did too, and it really got the thing going.
Not bad to have your teammate in second place either.
No, that was great. Kevin did a very good job. Very good job.
All right, and we also want to remind you that your brother finished a race today, and that breaks some of the bad luck he's had.
What, do you have any idea what position he was in?
I don't know the position at this point, but he was running at the end.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I'm really happy for him.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Well, Gary, the official scoring charts show that his older brother, Roger Mears, finished in 9th place in the Machinist Union car. Average speed of the race, 145.8 miles an hour. Rick Mears led for 146 laps. Well, a terrific and a smooth run for Rick Mears, who wins the Pocono 500, the first kart race to be held here at Pocono. And his teammate, Kevin Cogan, proving Bruce Jenner that the Penske team is dominant once again.